Madam Chair, I won't be long, so hopefully we don't go too far into the afternoon on this. But obviously, our ad hoc committee, county public health, members of our community, business community, et cetera, we've all been working very hard to bring our numbers down as the governor has mandated, so our businesses can open and remain open, and we've made great progress there. The efforts of the Latino Task Force, as well as all of our partners that we've been working with, are getting us there. We're moving through the tiers. The work that we are looking to have accomplished here is going to be important, but I do want to express some concerns with this particular contract. The size of the contract is something that obviously grabbed my attention when I first heard about it. But what occurred subsequent to that is I had received some communications from people, some calls from folks that were, a few that were concerned about some of the Facebook activity of this group. And the thing with social media, it can be a blessing and a curse, but I think it always can reveal a lot about an organization and what their priorities are. And unfortunately, what I saw on their Facebook page over the course of June and July were 10 posts that were calling for the defunding of both the Kern High School District Police Department, eliminating police in our high schools, and also defunding of the BPD, a campaign to try and get folks to sign petitions, to show up, to make calls, send emails to the Bakersfield City Council to defund the Bakersfield Police Department. And respectfully, I don't think that fits in with the opinion of the majority of the County of Kern. I think that is a radical political agenda that gives me great pause in awarding a contract with an organization that took on that cause. I think to myself, after the hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement officers that have been injured throughout the country with all of the protests, the rioting, the billions of dollars in property that have been destroyed, I think how our sheriff's department, our deputies, and our law enforcement throughout the county would feel if the County of Kern contracts with an organization that is calling for their defunding. We here in Kern County did the opposite. We gave more money to the Sheriff's Department because we saw a need. The Bakersfield City Council is planning to give more funding to their police department, and I think that that's the right direction. I think the law enforcement needs more resources, not less. Other organizations have reached out with interest in applying for the services. We have a couple emails from two of those. This is Kern County, we're not Seattle. This is where we support law enforcement and where we want more resources to go to law enforcement. And so I want to ask a question though of Mr. Constantine. Mr. Constantine, this is a retroactive contract. And so how does that work? What services have been rendered? What are we required to pay at this point if the board doesn't move forward and we explore some of these other avenues with these other organizations that are interested, that quite frankly don't have this issue that I think is a very important one for us to get to the bottom of?
Supervisor Scribner, through the chair, we acknowledge the unusual position that we put the board in. Our interest was to be able to move quickly. At the time, we had some higher testing positivity rates, so there was a lot of pressure on us to try to get everything done we could. So there has been some cost incurred by BHC since the beginning of October. I think that we need to pay them for the cost that they've incurred, but moving forward, we can explore additional options. As you've mentioned, you've already received 2 or 3 different opportunities for different groups that we'd like to explore. Then we think the need remains, but we'd like some time then to quickly review those and to figure out if there's other methods to achieve the same goals. So it is an unusual position, but I think we can get past it and move on and start the work back up.
Thank you, Mr. Constantine. Madam Chair, those are all my comments that I have, but I won't be able to support item number 31 today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zach. I have some questions for you, if you don't mind. So you said you saw some Facebook posts. What group was that from, Zach? That BHC or another group? I haven't seen them, for the record.
Sure, yeah. They were posted by the administrator of the site. And
I'm sorry, well, whose site is it? That's my question.
I'm sorry, Building Healthy
It
Communities.
is BHC. Okay, got it. I wasn't sure if it was Dolores Huerta or BHC.
No, it was, yeah, BHC, and I think that's an important distinction, and so I appreciate the question.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to know the standard for political controversy that you are going to hold Mr. Rojas to and the city serve people. So we're clear with the public what a behavior politically is acceptable to you and this board and to others. Because I look at people that are interested in this money, they're extremely controversial, extremely partisan, extremely ideological, which is their right to be. I don't bother these individuals or criticize them normally, but that is who they are. Again, their American right. So I would like to know the standard that you're going to hold these people to when they come forward and ask for money from the county, and they have some kind of political opinions that are controversial to some people. Can we flesh that out?
I don't have a standard, a specific standard, and I don't think that I'm holding this organization to a particular standard either. I feel that the call to defund our law enforcement in Kern County strikes at the heart of our need to support our men and women in uniform. I feel that that is not what the majority of my constituents believe we should be doing. And so for that reason, I think that we need to explore other options. And, you know, I don't want to, I'm not looking to make this a debate about all the different political positions that are acceptable and what aren't. I'm telling you, for me, that one is not acceptable. And so that's why I'm not going to support this contract. Thank you.
Thank you. I 100% respect that, Zach. I want to be consistent moving forward because I see political actors have their hands in all of this. I would like to know, for future applicants, we know that defunding the police is too controversial for you. I totally respect that. I'm not a supporter of that position. I have an excellent relationship with law enforcement. I intend to keep that. But I would like to know, since this last-minute 11th hour draw on these contracts, which appears to me to be political, I'm just going to be honest, that's fair. This body has the right to be political when it chooses to be, and if they have a majority of the actors who want to move in that direction. So I would like to know, in the 11th hour, the defunding the police is clearly unacceptable. Again, I respect that. Moving forward, how do we hold these other political actors who have opinions and who have been out making Facebook posts, who are probably scrubbing them now, given the conversation that's occurring now? How do we make that determination as a body so that we don't become partisan and we don't become political? Something we work really hard to be, Zach, nonpartisan and non-political. This to me is political. It's very clear. So I want to know, how do we move forward on these matters? Because this to me appears to be done.
Madam Chair.
So I want to know, moving forward, how do we do this?
I think that's a great question. I got the rule book right here about 501c3 organization participating in political activities, and it clearly states that they are not permitted to be an action organization as defined by any of the following three ways. A substantial part of any 501c3 is not allowed to be a substantial part of its activities which are attempting to influence legislation, which includes supporting its adoption or rejection and contracting legislators to propose, support, or oppose legislation. So I agree with Zach in the fact that I'm not supportive of this effort, but I don't completely agree with him because I don't feel that it has anything to do with defunding the police or not, although I'm not supportive of that. It is any political activity is not allowed by any of our 501c3s that we're participating with. And earlier you asked about the posts that I found. I have them right here if you'd like to look at them.
I would. Thank you, Mick. Yeah. I appreciate it very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
They clearly show that this organization is politically active, very politically active. I personally don't like their politics, but that's my business and not theirs. But as a board of supervisors, member of a board of supervisors, I can't support an organization, a 501c3 that I want to contract with, that has political activities, significant political activities. So, Matt, I'm interested in making sure that whatever costs they have occurred, my vote is going to be to support any costs that they have occurred get compensated for properly. And then, do we do RFPs for this, Mr. Constantine?
Supervisor Gleason, through the chair, we can. We don't, from our understanding of the rules, we don't have to. If we're going to spend above a certain amount, we do have to bring it to the board for approval. It's good to keep in mind, too, that we don't want to waste any moment,
Right, I
right?
hear you,
So
I hear
we
you.
got to do this quickly, but yes, sir, there is a process that we can go through, yes.
I think we should make a broad spec. I agree with the chairwoman who's saying that it's worthwhile to clearly define our position. And if our position is that we're not going to allow these 501c3s to have political positions or advocate a significant portion of their budget or be in the public significantly, then we don't do, so if they want to do business with us, they have to be apolitical and have to be focused on the task at hand, and that's who we should be doing business with. So I agree with both Letitia, I agree with you,
Sure.
and I agree with Zach
Yeah, it's a tough issue.
we have to define our position, and my position is clearly defined. Any politics is off bounds for me. So I will make a motion to not approve item 31.
I don't know, is that an appropriate posture for, legally speaking?
The board can take a vote on it. However, if the board chooses not to
Approve the contract?
approve the item, there could be no action. If no action is taken, the item is not approved.
Okay. So I really feel I want to devote some time this morning to fleshing this out because I think it's confusing for the public. I think one particular political position is encouraged, admired, and supported from this board, and others are not. That's fair. That's politics. That's the results of elections, okay? That's our reality. But I'm very disturbed by what I'm seeing, frankly, because one, most people have political positions. That's their business, that's their right. We're not the thought police. People have the right to think and believe and love however they choose. That's their life. But when it comes to the way this board conducts its business and who it gives its money to and who it supports by pats on the back and awards or whatever it is very clear, very clear. So I would like to know for my own sentiment moving forward, as I'm working with nonprofits and groups outside of Kern County or inside Kern County or whomever, what is the standard that Kern County is purporting and supporting in its official and its elected capacity? I would like to know. Ryan Alsop, I'd like to hear your input, frankly, because I was so impressed to see this operation, asking people who are the closest on the ground to actually doing the work. Because, Matt, I think that's our real problem. We get past this political action, and we have a real problem on our hands, and that is who are the people on the ground who can communicate with the public, who are trusted, who speak multiple languages. We know that the frontline essential workers in this community that keep our billion-dollar agribusiness afloat, okay, speak many languages. There are very few entities in the state of California or this country who can effectively communicate with a group of people who are picking your food, who are putting getting it in the stream of Kern County's economic well-being. It's just so astonishing to me that we're still having this debate. That is about health, it is about science, it is about who can be on the front lines and do this work. And that is really, Matt, I'd like to hear from you in a moment after I ask Ryan for his position. Ryan, I'm sorry to put you in a tough political spot, but I've been put in it too, and I don't appreciate it either. So I think it would be fair if we could understand which friends are getting money and which enemies are not, if you will. I think that would be helpful.
Madam Chair, members of the board, good morning. This is an item brought to your board by Public Health. The items, I think there are 3 total, have to do and have continuity with meeting the objectives that consistently change, the state objectives that are consistently changing, an effort to meet those objectives by addressing testing positivity, education in our county, particularly among certain communities and certain areas of communities that have been identified by the state as having high positivity for one reason or another. So this is a collection of items that, including the item that just passed by your board by the Hispanic, that's providing money to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for the Latino Task Force work. All of that is really geared toward addressing those needs. So, you know, to your point, Madam Chairwoman, it's important that we find success. We have to have success in these areas. We need to make sure that we are able to navigate through the tiers that the governor has laid out that we have to meet in order to open wider and get our schools open. So success is important at the end of the day. But how you achieve that success and with whom is a matter of your board and up to your board. And that's my opinion.
Okay. That sounds to me like that's an arbitrary standard. I appreciate what you're saying, Brian. Thank you. And so, Matt, can you please give me a sense of what's going to happen after this contract does not go through today? What are we going to do?
Well, our focus is, of course, driving down that testing positivity, right? We're at 5.5%. I got to get it below 5%. If your board chooses not to go in this direction, I will find another way. My job is to protect the health of the entire community and to specifically on this metric to try to meet it and do everything I can possible. So we'll find other solutions that meet the board's objectives, but also meet the state's objectives, but more importantly, improve the health of the community. We'll figure out a way.
Well, I'm going to want a full political analysis on any group that comes before here and wants some money from the county of Kern. I mean, I just think that's fair if we're going to be consistent and be ideological in how we hand out money to do county nonpartisan work, then I feel that's going to be what we're going to do moving forward. And that's unfortunate, but otherwise, how are we fair, Matt? How do you determine who you're going to work with and start doing work in the community? Here we are now, 2 weeks, we're going to be dark. We come back and it's, you know, we're approaching Thanksgiving and we don't have a plan. The plan that you had has been pulled in the 11th hour. And I can't imagine the frustration for you and other department heads who have to sift through something that should be purely related to health, the public health, and doing our job in a nonpartisan position. So I think this is extremely unfortunate, given the paucity of the inability of so many people to do this work in the community. That is where my concern is, in particular as we get into a cold season, the flu season, and people indoors. You know, this just feels to me like such a dramatic step back from where we have been and the progress we have made. And so I would, as we move forward on this matter, I want to let my colleagues know now that I think it is fair and appropriate, because this has been helpful, Mick. Thank you for sharing these with me. I understand your position. Zach, I understand your position. I know we don't agree on this, but we're adults and we will move past it. But I think we should be fair as we move forward, given in particular in Kern County the political disparity in who's in power and who's in control. That makes it, I think, very difficult for some groups to navigate and understand how they can be helpful. And frankly, to get some advice about maybe what to do and what not to do and how to think about, right, a relationship with an otherwise very conservative county. So with that said, I see, Zach, is that from now or before? Okay, thank you. Supervisor Gleason, you spoke. Anything else you want to add?
No, ma'am. Thank you very much for trying to lead us into fair waters. I appreciate that, and I'll support that 100%.
Thank you, Mick. Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. These are complicated days, are they not, for all of us? And
Indeed.
as we watch what unfolds, but cut to the chase, the issue before us is, do I want to support building healthy communities, Kern, delivering a message on behalf of all of us to our community? I am not going to support that this morning. Unfortunately, this organization has regrettably made it very clear that they, as well as attempting to do a great public service, also have a very specific political message and agenda. And I think that I know that I am not comfortable mixing those two things this morning. So I will not support granting the contract to building healthy communities of Kern.
Okay, Supervisor Maggard, thank you for your comments. Anything else from this board before we, I don't know that we need a vote, that I believe Mick made a motion, I should ask till he gets back. Or, Mick, do you want to pursue a motion or just let it die? Your call.
I think we just had a major aircraft accident in China Lake. I don't know what's going on. But do we need to make a motion? Someone
No,
tell me if
we
we need to
don't.
make a motion.
We don't, Mick.
Then I don't need to make a motion.
Okay, so let's move on. Mick, if you need to step out.
I do.
Godspeed to you, Mick. Okay, gentlemen, if there's nothing more, then I'm going to move on. So let's get to the item pulled, item number 32. Supervisor Scrivener, you pulled that matter, so if you want to tee off, we're ready for you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that Mr. Constantine is going to give a brief staff report on this, and then we'll get to the discussion. Thank you.
Madam Chair, similar to the other two items, this is a proposed retroactive agreement with Adelante Strategies to address some of the higher positivity rates in the certain census tracts. Specifically, it's for the development of multicultural marketing campaign to promote COVID-19 education and to serves as a connector between information and resources and holding some meetings. It's connected with the efforts of building healthy communities. Again, this was a proposed agreement that's funded through a state grant. That concludes my comments, Madam Chair.
Matt, again, thank you. Sure. You're a rock star. Zach, your thoughts? Floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I pulled this item because it's tied, I think, quite directly to item 31, which I had concerns about the communications manager for Building Healthy Communities is the CEO and president of this organization. Similar comments, as I said, on the CEO and president's Facebook page about defunding the police. So it was the same concerns that I had. That's why I wanted to pull it. I don't know if the clerk, we have callers that want to speak on this item, but those are basically all my comments. I won't be supporting this either. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Madam Clerk, what do we have?
We do have Reina Olagis, who spoke prior to this item being pulled off consent. She is still on the line, so I believe we should offer her the opportunity to speak to this item.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Olagis, if you would unmute your phone by pressing *6, you may address the board if you would like.
Hi, thank you so much. So I think we're missing the point here, with item number 31 and item number 32. This is a public health issue. And this is not, we need to keep politics out of this, because communities, our most vulnerable communities that our organizations are connected to. And these vulnerable communities are some, we're losing a lot of them. They're being impacted with very high numbers of COVID. And we started this work, hiring 30 canvassers to get out there and go talk to the communities, encourage them to go to the testing, partnering with the Latino Task Force to let them know that there's a mobile testing site in their area. I think that everyone has a certain way they lie with politics. And I think that if I go to Jesse Rojas's Twitter page, I'm seeing a lot of things that I don't like there. And also one thing I do want to say is that when I started my career, I started working for the Kern County Sheriff's Office as a crime prevention specialist. Currently, I'm serving as in the Bakersfield Police Commission or Committee to reform the police department. And I'm very happy working with them. I think we need to give more money to their Police Activities League. I was a product of the Police Activities League. And so that's what I think. I think we've done a lot. I've already hired graphic designers. They've already developed the billboards, countless graphics for our campaign. We're getting ready to launch it. We started launching it. Our canvassers got their training this week. And so it's just really sad to see that if we don't stand with your views in, when it comes to politics, we're out of being considered for this contract that's really aimed at encouraging our community to slow the spread of the coronavirus and to open Kern County fast so that we could send our kids back to school. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. I am the president of Adelante Strategies, and Adelante is an advertising agency. I only take contracts that are for public awareness. The last contract I took was for the Kern County, the county of Kern, and I did their media campaign for the census, for their census outreach efforts. And I'm also working with Community Action Partnership of Kern currently and helping them do media outreach for their Housing for the Harvest program. I just hope that you reconsider and that you understand where our communities are coming from. They trust our community, they trust our leaders, and they live in fear every day. Many of the community that we talk to are undocumented. They don't know that they need to be taking the test, even though they're not feeling symptoms. Our goal is to get that message out to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ryan, can you give me a sense of how you think we should proceed on what Supervisor Mick Gleason described as a fair attempt to be straight with the public? What can we do about this matter? You obviously see what's going on. I don't think there's any need to pretend. I just want to know how we fix it as we move forward, because there's clearly, a particular side, if you will, that is not well positioned politically to compete or to make friends with powerful people. So, how do we think about this moving forward? Because I just think if we had a clear standard, that it would be fair and open. Maybe we need to put it on the website. Who gets to do business with Kern County? I think it's a big question. It's a good question. And since we're being forced to address it this morning, I'd like to know what you think we should do as our CAO.
Madam Chairwoman, members of the board, if you would, if you'd like to consider providing some sort of a referral to my office to bring back some sort of an item for discussion or an overview of how, what our process is relative to 501C, whether they're 3 or 6 or 7 or whatever they are, what our process is, so that your board has a good understanding of how things currently stand and how we distribute money. I'm happy to do that, so that
I would like to know.
better informs a discussion by your board on this
I think
subject.
the public should know who gets money from this board in sort of a graphic. I don't know if it's a screen, if we can do some kind of clear explanation to the public, so we don't find ourselves in this awkward position again 2 weeks before a big election. I don't like it, you don't like it, it's not fun. So I would like to avoid these conversations in the future. I don't think they're helpful, but given what's happening, I think we need some kind of spreadsheet, who gets money, what nonprofits have gotten taxpayer dollars, so we have a sense about who's doing it right. Maybe that will be helpful to these other groups to understand who's doing it right and who's has the support and monetary, the finances, frankly, or taxpayer dollars to do the work that they do. That would be so very helpful. I've always wondered it, but I've never had the time to look into it. But if we could discuss that moving forward, I'd appreciate it. Supervisor Maggard, your thoughts? I see you're punched in.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, I pushed the wrong button, so I'm in there twice now.
Oh, sorry.
Forgive me.
Oh, there you go.
As I said before, these are complicated times, and I just want to just expound a little bit more on my perspective on this. I heard Ms. Olagues say something about if we don't stand with you, with your view, then we don't participate. Mm-hmm. Well, the reality is that what I'm looking for is somebody who doesn't have a view. I don't care, and I do not support. I don't care to, nor do I support using taxpayer money to reward organizations that have a specific political agenda. And It is, I don't have the slightest hesitation about being helpful and supportive of the efforts of the Hispanic Chamber. I don't have the slightest hesitation to be supportive of the members of the Latino leadership group that is helping to steer this, because while I might have vastly different political perspectives than them, they are now working in this effort without a political agenda. And it is clear that Ms. Olagez's firm and the organization that we just said we weren't going to give money to they have no compunction about mixing their messages. While they are delivering one message about something they're trying to accomplish in the community, they are at the same time delivering a very specific political message, and I cannot support the political message that I see being espoused. So I will not be in support of item number 32.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard. Do we have any other comments or questions from the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Supervisor Scribner, excuse me, Supervisor Gleason.
Thanks. Catching up on things here. I agree with the direction we're going. I don't like the fact that the LinkedIn page for the person who is on the Adelanto Strategies website is also listed as a current communications director for Building Health and Communities. So the two appear to me to be linked. I agree completely with what our chair lady is saying, that we need to have some type of balance and approach to separating whether a 501 is a public health organization or it's a political activist group. Either way, I don't care. I think we should have a clear way of understanding that. So whether they're putting stuff out on Facebook or whether they're wearing a MAGA hat, I think either one of those is inappropriate. And I think we have to provide the capability to confidently and effectively provide public health services, and that includes being just distancing from politics as best we can. Yes. It's not going to be pure, but we've got to hold people accountable to a standard. I'm all for that. I support that 1,000%. And I'm looking forward to moving forward from this.
Thank you, Mick. I appreciate it. And now the public can see why Mick is my favorite supervisor. Thank you, Mick. These are hard issues, to try to be fair, because we have our own opinions, Mick. Right. And that's all right. And, you know, they're ours, and nobody's changing mine. I ain't trying to change yours. Right. But we've got to make some space for each other, Mick, if we're going to live civilly and, you know, in peace as best as we can. I'm committed to that. So I want to say that this has been a helpful and healthy conversation that I look forward to advancing and being a part of, because I think it will help us function better and be fairer to the public. With that said, I do not see a motion on item 32, so I'm going to assume that that dies and does not move forward, and I believe that brings us to the end of our agenda. We're going to adjourn to closed session, and then we'll be back at 2 for some more fireworks. Please stay tuned.